Hello and welcome to the live feed of XTERRA Czechia, the final stop on the World Cup circuit before we go to the Worlds, the Dolomites and Molveno in Italy in just a month's time. Last opportunity to move up in the World Cup for the elite men and the elite women before we ready ourselves for the World Championships. What a season it's been too. We're going to take you back through it in just a moment. But the setting today is for the oldest XTERRA race on the circuit, XTERRA Czechia, from Prahatisa in the southwestern corner of Czechia. Of course, previously the Czech Republic, set on the banks of the beautiful Tisky Lake. And in a moment, we'll introduce you to the big stars of XTERRA. Cross triathlon in its elite form at the very highest level. We had the European Championships yesterday in the standard distance race. We'll be updating you on the results from that in just a few moments. But today, you are joining us for short track racing. It's the most exciting form of XTERRA because there is so little room for error. It's brutally short. The men's and women's races will be under 40 minutes. It's going to be so quick. Let's go back over the season, shall we? Because it all started in the Kenting Highlands of Taiwan and then moved on for those North American Championships. Last time I was live on the mic with you all at Oak Mountain. And then we went to Belgium, Namur, the race up to the Citadel. The last stop we had was Quebec in Canada, of course, for short track and full distance. And then yesterday we had the European Championships full distance here in Czechia before next month's World Championships back in Molveno, Italy, in the Dolomites. Let's go back and look at how things happened, those beautiful open trails of the Kenting Highlands in Taiwan, where Solène Billouin got her season started with a win in the elite women's race too. We were then on to Greece, the sea swim, of course, and Solène Billouin again on form, but a very on form Anita Grabmuller as well, the Czech athlete, using an incredibly strong and improving bike leg to move up. We then moved on to Oak Mountain in Shelby County, USA, where Sandra Meyerhofer was the winner of the full distance race. And the following day, Solène Billouin using a very strong bike leg and a brilliant final run to take the short course race in Oak Mountain. That was a cracking edition. So much variety between these different races. And then we were on to Belgium, Namur, of course, a scene to so much of the world's best cyclocross racing, but also host to XTERRA and location 4, where we saw Sandra Meyerhofer, the Italian athlete, take the win. Then we were on yesterday, of course, to the full distance European Championships, but not until we'd seen Solène Billouin celebrating. And that was in Quebec for the full distance race. In fact, in Quebec, of course, it was short course on the Saturday, full distance on the Sunday, so the other way around. Yesterday, a brilliant return from racing on the road for Louis Duvoisin, the Swiss XTERRA elite, who had a fantastic return to XTERRA racing yesterday. This is how things stand, though, at the top of the World Cup standings going into this penultimate round. Solène Billouin leading with a very healthy lead over Italy's Marta Mendito, one of 2 Italians in that top 5, with Sandra Meyerhofer there too. Alice Patier, as always, so consistent. My name's Jez Cox, and I'm pleased to say that once again I'm joined by Nicole Waters. Hey Nicole, do you want to talk us through who you think might be the big threat from these 5 here today?
Hi Jez, yeah, we're going to see some really exciting racing today. I think Elise might do quite well.
Good shout, not least because she's so consistent. We do know, though, and we should update viewers on this, that there's been...
It's always nice to come back here and, you know,
let's hear from the home favourite
know
first.
me, and they stop me in the street, in the grocery stores, asking if I'm racing, and it's fun, but this year it feels a bit different. I feel there are higher expectations for me and definitely puts a bit more pressure. Well, I think I already felt in Taiwan that I can race really well if I haven't been sick there. To prove it in Greece was obviously, it was a surprise for sure. At the same time, I just really had a good race. I performed in all 3 disciplines, and I hope that I can repeat that kind of performance again.
Yeah, the last year in Czech, I broke my underbar just 1 kilometer after the transition. This year, I'm feeling happy because I would like to have my revenge, and the short track is technical with the jump. I tried, and it's very nice. So I hope to be nice too.
Well, so much pressure, I would have thought, Nicole, on Anita Grabmuller. She was first out of the swim, as she so often is, yesterday in the full distance race. We would expect that again today, wouldn't we? And we saw this yesterday, didn't we? How much her cycling has come on. Grabmuller finished second yesterday in the European Championships here on the lake at Cadiz in the Forest too.
Yeah, she's had a fantastic season, and she seems to just be getting better and better as she goes through.
Yeah, let's see if she can maintain what we expect to be a lead after the swim. It's 2 swim laps, 400 metres only, 2 200-metre laps, if you like, in the lake there, the Ktišský Lake on the edge of the Ktiš forest. And this is an indication of where the mountain bike course goes. 4 laps, and these laps mirroring very closely what the athletes will have to do on the final run too. 4, let's call it 2K laps, 1.9K. And this is the oldest course on the circuit, Nicole. What do you think of the bike course and the run as well? What kind of terrain are we talking about?
So it's a tough course for them, the athletes, this weekend. We've got a couple of climbs, there's some features, some jumps, some rock gardens. So it's going to be a really exciting race. I'm not sure there'll be many of the athletes taking some of the jumps. It's a tough one.
Yes, I'm guessing we're expecting some beelines around those drops as well. We're going to see that on the course. They will have raced a fair bit of these trails yesterday, but it is a shortened course, of course, for the short track race. And the idea of this format, for those of you maybe who might not have seen it at home, if this is your first time joining us for a short track XTERRA live broadcast, the idea is to purify the very best of XTERRA, make it really exciting. And I'll say it again, there is so little room for error, isn't there, Nicole? You've got to get everything right, and that includes transition.
It is, and the transition makes up such a bigger amount of the race. So it's really important that the athletes get their shoes on quickly, get changed, get out onto the bike from the swim, and then the same from going to the bike to the run.
Right, well, we're looking
So we're just starting to see them get ready now.
Yeah, Solène Billouin there wearing the gold cap of series leader. She leads today after yesterday's European Championships by 124 points over Marta Mendito. Until this point, she hadn't finished outside the top 3 in this year's World Cup until yesterday, Nicole. What happened to her yesterday? Because I believe you've got some intel on why she finished. Where did she finish in the end yesterday? For her, 7th place, a lot further down than where she's been all season. What happened there?
Yes, I think Solène's not been too well this weekend. So she's doing her absolute best. She's giving her all, but it's just not quite the performance that we'd normally expect from her.
I've just been fed some information, by the way, from our team on the ground there, and I'm being told that on Friday, she's reported back, Solène Billouin, that on Friday she was stung by an insect, pulled the sting out, not knowing whether it was an insect or a plant, but it's left her with a really swollen ankle and obviously below par yesterday. I wonder whether one more day on she'll have recovered from that. But these are the things that happen when you come to the wild and beautiful places like this, I guess, Nicole.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a much shorter race today, so perhaps she'll be able to manage that a little bit better if it's something that's quite sore and painful. So we'll see what she's got in the tank for today.
Well, we've just seen Anita Grabmuller lining up, of course, the home favourite. This is where she fell in love with XTERRA. This is where she first raced as an age grouper, fell in love with it, and then progressed into the elite ranks as well. We know how good she is as a swimmer, but she's really come on. And I've expected her this season, Nicole, to really perform particularly well in the short track races, but she showed yesterday in that full distance European Championships how much she has come on the bike in particular.
She did, yes. Fastest swim and bike splits yesterday. So I think she's going to be the one that all the athletes are trying to chase down today.
Right, Nicole, can you explain to us how this swim works? Because it is 2 laps, but it's a beach start as well. Is it out and back? I'm waiting to see
So I
exactly how it
believe
works.
they don't have an Australian exit in the middle. They're just doing the 200-metre laps. So they'll go straight from one lap into the next. And then as soon as we see them come out of the swim, they'll be straight through into transition.
Right, all eyes on the returning Luan Duvoisin, the Swiss athlete who took the win yesterday. She's been racing on the road all this year, having really been pretty dominant in XTERRA the last couple of seasons, but back at it, I guess, Nicole, with a focus that's probably pretty similar to a lot of these athletes in this field, thinking about the Dolomites and Molveno in around about a month's time, where you and I will be lucky enough to be on the ground in Italy covering those World Championships. And this is the final big hit out between these XTERRA elites, isn't it?
Yeah, and Luan would have wanted to get a race in before she heads to Molveno. And what I noticed yesterday is she had a much stronger swim than what she usually would. And that's going to put her in a much better position when she gets out onto the bike. And she's a very, very strong runner, so it's going to be tough for all of these girls to be able to beat her, I think. I think Luan will have a really good race today. She's traditionally always been very good at the short track events. And she won the very first short track event that took place here, I believe, in 2019.
Yeah, I have to say I love the short track format. It's I think it's the point, Nicole, that I know I've said it twice already, but I'll say it again, that there's so little room for error. You've got to get absolutely everything dialed, and it's so fast, so quick, that you could easily lose a few places in transition just by not being able to clip your helmet up or not getting the bike unwrapped properly. Every moment has to be to perfection to perform, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, and these athletes would have spent plenty of time practicing those transitions, making sure that they're super smooth, they know exactly what they're doing, and they can get through really quickly, not giving away those places where they don't want to.
Well, it's a beautiful looking scene as we look out across Ktišský Lake on the banks of the Ktiš forest. We're actually about 15k south of Prahatisa, where this event is set, the XTERRA Czechia, right on the edge of the village of Ktiš, which is a municipality and a village just southeast of Prahatisa, and it is Aneta Grabmuller out first. Wow, that was quick, wasn't it? 2 minutes.
It is. I think that was what we were expecting for today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now she's back in again. Little run around the inflatable, the XTERRA inflatable, then back in. And Solène Billois,
and we
the series leader in the gold cap, is in second. So she started well, Nicole.
She has. That's a really good place for Solène to be. So she was closely followed by Elise Pates going through there as well. So we've got a really good group of girls up the front, all the favourites there.
Yeah. Well, it looks so far like Solène Billois may have fared a bit better after that sting or bite, whatever she had on Friday, that really slowed her down yesterday. And maybe, if she is feeling better, Nicole, it's going to light a bit of a fire under her as well to make sure she bags much more points, because her lead was so healthy coming into this weekend.
Yes, and she's not lost a short track event yet this year. First in Quebec. She's good at this short track event.
Yeah, she was the winner in Oak Mountain as well, wasn't she? The day after Sandra Meyerhofer had taken the win in the full distance event at Shelby County. And there she is in that gold cap. She should, if she finishes in that top 10 here, which we expect she will, and then goes on to the World Championships in both short track and full distance in a month's time, seal this World Cup series quite neatly overall. It's much closer amongst the men, and we'll come on to that when we bring you the broadcast of the men's elite race just after this. But we are very close to exiting now, and the gaps aren't enormous, are they? Grabmuller's got that, what is that, you reckon about 6-7 metres or something over the chasing pack now, Nicole?
Yes, it's not a huge gap, is it? I mean, it's only a 400-metre swim, so there's not loads of time to pull out distance on the other girls. I mean, we know Aneta's very, very strong on the bike, so if she gets a good transition hit, it'll be interesting to see whether she pushes on or she holds back, waits for the pack. I have a feeling she's not going to do any hanging around though.
No, and it's a warm day in Czechia today, so this might start to take its toll. They'll get on the bike and they'll be drying off very quickly after this swim, but we did see, didn't we, in the short track at Oak Mountain where we did a live broadcast together, Nicole, how particularly in the women's race, if you really push it, and we're just watching Grabmuller almost go in the wrong side of the buoy there, going to the left of it in the end, but if you really push it towards the end of that bike and go out hard on the run, you can still pay, despite the fact that final run is only 2.4 kilometres. You can die badly in there, can't you?
Yeah, it's very short and fast, and so much power needed on this bike course.
Right,
you can
Grabmuller's
easily
out first.
overstretch the legs and struggle towards the end of that run.
Absolutely. Aneta Grabmuller, looking like she's running well. She told us yesterday, after that second place in those European full distance championships, that she's nursing a little bit of an Achilles problem. And I'd have thought, if anywhere, Nicole, that's where she might feel it. Although she's warmed up from the swim, running barefoot on sand, having just got out of the water, she might have been, I can't help but think, as someone who's had all sorts of Achilles problems myself, she might have, well, I don't know whether she was feeling it there, but it would give her an indication as to whether it's going to cause her any problems on that final run, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Achilles problems are tough to manage, but she still put in a fantastic run split yesterday. So I think she'll be fine on this short run today, but it is very short and fast.
Yeah, her run split yesterday, ninth fastest. It is her weakest of the three disciplines, but still enough to secure her second place.
Yeah.
That's Mendito
And that just
going
shows
out.
how strong her swim and her bike is.
Yeah, precisely. I should have pointed out at the beginning, by the way, we started our broadcast very quickly. There is only one of the athletes in the World Cup top 10 who isn't here, and that's the American veteran Susie Snyder. Everyone else is here, so an absolutely rammed quality field in this, the penultimate round of the World Cup. This is Jez Cox and Nicole Walters bringing you this live broadcast, and one or two of the athletes just struggling to get their feet in. That's the thing about this short track racing. There's no time really for messing around. There's Meyerhofer. Sorry, that's sorry. Oh, hang on a minute. No, that's not Meyerhofer. Meyerhofer's already gone out. Of course, she's wearing the same kit.
Yeah.
As soon as we see them out on bike course, we'll be able to update you on exactly where they are. We'll watch the last of these athletes coming out. 21 elite women started this race. They needed to qualify, didn't they, Nicole, from yesterday's standard distance race? I quite like that, the fact that you have to qualify through doing the standard. So you have to finish inside the top 30, don't you? Otherwise, you won't even make it into this. So there's no sandbagging on the Saturday, is there?
No, so it's an invitation-only race. And with there being points available for the overall World Cup, it is really important that the athletes challenging for that series win get into this event.
Just watching the slow-mo shots. Aneta Grabmuller certainly not looking like she's nursing any Achilles pain there as she's running out, which is a good sign. And then, of course, the
A
golden
little check
cap.
over her shoulder to see where everyone is.
Yep. Right, out onto the bike course. Let's not forget, 4 laps. 4 laps of 7.6
And it looks like Selene has
kilometres.
already made her way to the front this race.
Yes, she has. So the gap wasn't quite big enough, was it? There's Patier just behind her. Selene Bilwan already up into the lead. There's Grabmuller in third. Already into third so quickly, Nicole, as well.
Yeah, Selene's obviously wanting to exert a dominance again after a result that she perhaps wasn't too pleased with yesterday.
So we have here.
But as expected, Elise's up the front there as well too.
Yeah, she had a good swim, didn't she? And Grabmuller trying to hold on to her as well. But Bilwan knowing she's not just going this hard because it's such a short bike course as well, but there's that element of being out of sight and out of mind on a technical single track course. There's one of those drops, one of 2 drops every lap. That's not too bad. I think even I could cope with that, Nicole.
Yeah, this one won't cause the athletes too much problems.
No, lovely scenes in the Katish forest, looking through the sun as it's breaking through.
I think that's Sandra
Here
and
comes,
Lawan just coming through now.
Sandra Meyerhofer leading through. And yesterday's winner, Luan de Vuissin, the Swiss athlete, well up inside that top 5 as well. So back on board watching Anita Grabmüller, the Czech athlete, home favourite, who fell in love with XTERRA right here in this, the oldest round of the World Cup series. And here is our leader, World Cup leader and race leader at the moment, Bilouin. So looking like she's, maybe I can stop talking about that bite or sting she had on Friday, Nicole, because she looks like she's sparky today.
Yeah, she seems like she's doing all right today, doesn't she? Back to her normal self, super strong on that bike, powering up the climbs. Really smooth on these descents.
Yeah, and she will be hoping in amongst these twists and turns to start to get out of sight. However, looking at the bike splits from yesterday, I wonder whether Grabmüller is just waiting to start to eat her way into this a little bit. Where is she? Maybe she's going, no, hang on. Patier there, I think it is. No, it isn't, sorry. We've got a bit of a shuffling in second and third.
That was Elise that we saw coming through behind Solène. And then we can just see Annetta in the background now, just coming around that corner.
So Solène Bilouin coming through, back towards transition again, round the edge of the lake, across the cobblestones, tucking down on those bars to get as aero as possible. It's a really fast bike course, this as well. Not quite as technical as Quebec. I think Quebec seemed to be the favourite amongst the hardcore mountain bikers, Nicole, in terms of its technicality.
Yeah, Solène's waiting for nobody, is she?
No. So there goes Alice Patier, who's 3rd in the World Cup, the French woman. And Grabmüller. By the looks of it, most of these athletes opting for the dropper post today. I've seen quite a few of them popping up and popping down on their posts. Nicole, it makes sense with those drops, doesn't it? Just to get a little bit more wiggle room around the bike.
It does, yes. You can move the bike around a lot more through these technical sections if you've got a dropper post on your bike. And here we've got Luan and blank. Sandra coming through now.
Yes, Meyerhofer.
And they'll be looking to work together probably to try and close that gap to the front. Oh, sorry, that's Anna Zender now and Marta. Marta Mendito made a good move yesterday in the series rankings.
Yeah, Mendito now finds herself
second position.
Yeah. She is still 124 points behind Solène, though, after yesterday. Solène missed out, of course, by finishing in 6th yesterday, but there are 75 points available to the winner of this World Cup round today, so it's still not enough for the likes of Mendito to get on terms with Solène Bilouin, who should have the series sewn up, but let's see. A little chink yesterday certainly has brought the others a bit closer, but as I suggested she might do when we saw her go out on the swim, swimming so well in 2nd place, she wants to use today as a chance to really solidify, if anything, just completely cap that World Cup run. Hello! Look at this, Nicole. Alice Patier is coming back, the French woman in 2nd. Look at this.
Yeah, she won't want to let that gap grow anymore.
No, absolutely. There's Grabmüller.
I wonder if it's the steep climb just bunched them up a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes that shot
can
be
see how
foreshortened, can't
steep
it?
this is.
This is Anita Grabmüller. We saw the camera operator right up alongside her. Here's the front of the race on lap 2 of 4. Going right up into that Katish forest and then dropping straight back down to the Katishki lake, around the edge of it. Quite in contrast, the sound of the booming crowd enjoying watching it down there, going through transition, then going off into this beautiful single track in the forest.
It's such a great location for this event. The crowds always turn up, there's always so much support for the athletes, and it's a really nice atmosphere.
Absolutely. I've been I've been waiting all year, Nicole, I have to say, to get down trackside at one of these XTERRA World Cups, having shared in it with you from a distance, from our remote commentary points. I'm so looking forward to a month's time being at those World Championships in Molveno, and I hope lots of you watching are going to join us there in the Dolomites for the big end-of-season party that started way back in March in Taiwan and brings us all the way through to the Dolomites of Italy next month. It's going to be great. Make sure you're there if you can. Right, Grabmuller hoping to work her way into this bike course. Loen de Voisin there of Switzerland, maybe today, with all the road endurance work and endurance triathlon she's been doing this year, maybe finding this short track racing a little bit too pacey today. Nicole, what do you reckon?
I don't think we can ever write Loan off. She's a very, very strong runner, and we certainly saw yesterday that she's still got her eye in for the XTERRA racing. And I think she'll definitely be one to watch in Molveno next month.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's always that tricky balance, though, isn't it? If you're going for the World Cup overall, then consistency is key. And Solheim Bilwan, until yesterday, has been, well, misconsistent all season. I don't know, Nicole, what you think. I guess it's different for different people, but I wonder which way around. If we could do a poll as we watch Bilwan just dropping her dropper post there for the technical downhill, I wonder if we could poll all of our elite athletes and say, look, which way round do you prefer it? Standard first and then short track the next, sorry, not standard, full distance and then short track that way around, or short track then full distance. I reckon there might be a bit of a split. I don't know, what would you prefer as an athlete?
I think generally the favoured is the standard or the full distance first, and then the short track following that. The short track's almost a little bit of fun after that main event. I mean, yes, there's still the points available, but it's still a new format. It's still fun. It's still interesting, and the crowds come out to support, and everybody seems to love it.
Look at that. That was a fantastic drone shot, looking across Ktiski Lake and back in towards transition for the completion of lap 2 for Solheim Bilwan, World Cup leader and race leader in the red tri-suit, looking very much in control. That was a big attack from her at the beginning to catch Annette Grabmuller. And I think in a way, Nicole, I've wondered with this course, because there's quite a lot of single track up there, maybe Grabmuller might have been hoping that the crowd baying her on and the single track nature means you could get, as I said, out of sight, out of mind. There's not so many overtaking places up there in the forest, but Bilwan was having absolutely none of that. But before she could even think about doing that, she'd caught her and deliberately attacked hard past her, didn't she?
Yeah, and she likes to be out the front of these races.
So,
and there's not loads of space for overtaking through those woods. So if you can get in front, you're going to want to stay there.
Solheim Bilwan in first. Alice Patier in second, meaning 2 French women in the lead of the race. Annette Grabmuller's gone through 2. That's yesterday's winner, de Voisin. Zender, her countrywoman there, the other Swiss woman, also right up there in that top 6. Anna Zender coming through now. And she sits in 4th place in the World Cup standings this year. In this, the penultimate venue before we go to those World Championships. There is the top 6 for you. Mendito in 6th. De Voisin.
And she had a good race yesterday as well. Anna Zender in 4th position.
Yeah, let's see if she can better that today. She's in 7th as they go out onto the 3rd of 4 bike laps. Gosh, it's so quick, isn't it? We ripped through the race in extremely quick time. All right, here's Grabmuller in 3rd. When she went through the timing point, she was 25 seconds down. I thought she'd be bang on for the fastest bike split today, but there's a fair amount of aggression behind Solheim Bilwan today, and I think that might be what will carry her probably to that fastest bike split. But let's see. Over halfway through this bike leg now.
And we've got to remember all of these girls raced a really hard race yesterday as well. Sort of 3 hours of really tough, challenging racing to then come out and race at full gas the next day. It's really hard.
These are the words of my co-commentator, Nicole Waters, herself, of course, a silver and bronze medalist at ITU Cross Tri Worlds, as well as a Paralympic bronze medalist from Rio as well. So it's nice to be back on the There you go. I'm just updating people in case they don't know your palmarès. It's great to have Nicole on with me. She was, of course, the European cross-tri champion in 2018 as well, you lot out there. We've got cross triathlon royalty on here with me, so it's nice to be back on with Nicole. And watching here, the home favourite, who after now the second day of racing here in Prahatisa is starting to feel the pressure. Hello. I think we can almost say Alice Patier is on terms with Solène Billouin here, although Billouin must know she's there. She must hear the whir of her tyres behind her. She's not quite on, Nicole, but this is going to make a tasty battle for that final run if these two hook up, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Elise is not letting that gap go, and she's very technically good on a mountain bike, so she'll be making short work of all these features and these twists and turns.
Yeah, and the gap does seem to be going out to Grabmuller. I think the only thing that might come in her favour maybe is if the two front French women do get together and then start watching each other. That would give an opportunity for Grabmuller to wind her way through. We know that her run isn't weak, but it's her weakest of the three disciplines, isn't it? So she'll want to be on that podium.
She will, and she's got Sandra and Luan from chasing hard behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. There's Patier. She's still not on, though, and I can't tell whether it's her that's struggling to close the gap or whether Billouin knows she's there and does not want her to get on. No bottle for Solène Billouin, and I can't see a bottle either on the bike of Patier. I'm presuming, Nicole, what would be the... I mean, is there a nutrition strategy for us racers short of this, or is it just no weight and hammer it?
No, I mean, it's so short, this event, that you can manage for 20, 30 minutes without a drink. So as long as these athletes are well hydrated before, there'll be no problems out on the bike just getting through this. So they'll want the bikes as light as possible, so they're not going to carry any extras with them.
So nearly 22 minutes of racing so far. This is the completion of lap 3. We're going to hear the ding, ding, ding of the bell already. Wouldn't you know it? Look at that. 22 minutes of racing. And Solène Billouin looking very good for those max 75 points in the overall series standings. And Patier's working so hard on the cobbles here to get on terms. This is the place to get on terms, I guess, and she is. I think we can say they're together now, Nicole.
Yeah, she's just closed that gap, hasn't she? Right on the wheel of Solène.
Boy, am I glad that mat's there for them to ride on, because it's off-canvas sand. Can you imagine the speed going into that if the mat wasn't there? Right, Anita Grabmuller, the Czech athlete, tucked down on the bars. Here she is, onto the cobbles. That gap has definitely gone out. I mean, we're saying 2 seconds to Patier. They're together. The two French women, Billouin and Patier, in the lead together. Anita Grabmuller, she might even start looking over her shoulder every now and again to see what kind of gap she's got before that final run. We will tell you when 4th and 5th come to the line. Grabmuller now on the mat. Let's see the gap. As she goes across that timing mat, it'll populate top left of your screen right there, the times at the end of bike lap 3. Duvoisin moving clear as well in 4th. Yesterday's winner, the Swiss woman, has a little check onto the sand there too.
Yeah, so she's really made some progress here. She's moved away from Sandra. She's pushing away forwards. She's still got 30 seconds to close that gap to Annetta, but she's definitely making a move here.
That's Meyerhofer in 5th. Marta Mandito in 2nd place in the World Cup. She is in 6th, I think. Looking at the shots as they're coming towards us. Let's have a little look. Yes, she is.
Yeah, so Marta's moved forward a bit more here.
Of those top 6, I know it's different every day, depending on how the race has gone, Nicole, but who do you reckon's the stronger runner of those top 6 we're going to look to dominate that final run? What do you reckon?
Oh, it's hard to call today because it's difficult to say who's going to be more from yesterday's race, who's feeling it more in their legs. I mean, between these two at the moment that we've got on screen, I think Elise is feeling pretty good.
She does look good. And it's worth pointing out Elise Patier yet to get a World Cup win this year, hasn't she? She is so consistent. Probably the most consistent of all of them, but consistently in the top 4. Second, third and fourth, there or thereabouts all season, but not yet getting the World Cup win. And she would be deserving of that. I think she'd be a very popular one, not just amongst the fans, but also amongst the other athletes too, because they respect her quality. It would be very deserving. Let's see, though.
Yeah, and she won the overall cup last year in 2023. So always super consistent, but I think yet to get that win this year.
Yeah. She did win the short track event at Oak Mountain last year, but that was, if I'm not mistaken, her last World Cup win. It was over a year ago back in Shelby County. We know she can do it. She knows she can do it, and it seems like her form is coming on. By the looks of it, the fact that she's gone straight to the front as well is putting the pressure on. She wants to see if she can shake out Solène Billouin. Let's look for gaps. None just yet,
Yeah, and
Nicole.
Elise will want to be first into this downhill section, but Solène's not going to let that happen.
No chance. So World Cup leader Solène Billouin, long-time race leader. It's a 25-minute race so far. She goes down the next to the drops. That's the drop we're not seeing too often because our camera is looking through the undergrowth at her. She's on her way back down the Katish Forest and back towards Tiski Lake as well. It won't be long before they're rattling across the cobblestones and thinking about getting unclipped and running shoes on. Oh dear. Hello.
No, and Solène is flying down here.
So possibly a little advantage, or one of the many advantages of Solène Billouin, our World Cup leader, is her technical ability in these rooty descents on the single track here.
Yeah, and dry, dusty conditions for the athletes today.
Yeah, I'd have thought getting the tyre pressure right for a course like this is important. Thankfully, we've not seen any mechanical problems because as well as the tyre pressure, it was the last round, wasn't it, in on those beautiful trails in Quebec where Elise Patier snapped her chain, didn't she?
Yeah, you need some technical luck, some mechanical luck sometimes.
Yeah. Right, we are heading back into T2, second transition and the transition into the run, and already remarkably, our leaders are lapping the back end of the field. There were 21 elite women who qualified for this short track race here in Prahatisha, and already our series leader, race leader now, Solène Billouin, getting her shoes undone. Nicole, for people who are used to watching road triathlon and then pick up their XTERRA with us along the way, what is the mode of choice between these XTERRA elites? What would you do? Is it take your shoes, get your feet out of your shoes and run, or what? Do you get many people running in their bike shoes?
It really depends on the course. If you've got a nice section of tarmac that you can take your time, you can get your feet in your shoes properly, then you'll always have your shoes on your bike. Now, if you're straight into some single track, or you're coming off the bike out of single track, you're perhaps going to run in your bike shoes because you're not going to want your feet bouncing around on top of your shoes while you're on the bike.
I asked
and that was a quick transition from both of them.
Yes, absolutely. Right, here goes Grant Muller. She undoes the straps on both shoes. Let's see what her gap is here, and can she have the run of her life in amongst the home crowd who are absolutely loving her, as they were yesterday as well. She's such a big star here at the oldest round on the XTERRA World Cup circuit here in Prahatisha in Czechia. Let's see. Smooth, calm transition.
Yeah, so she's already got her feet out of her shoes. All she's got to do is put her running shoes on, take her helmet off, and away she goes.
Yeah, got to be careful with that, hasn't she? We saw Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen having penalties yesterday, didn't we? We'll come on to that when we show you the men's race, but you've got to make sure the bike is wrapped properly in your place. Effectively, you leave transition tidy, don't you, Nicole?
You do, yes. You don't want to interfere with anyone else's race from the transition.
This is yesterday's winner.
And Luan has really caught up some time on that bike there.
Yeah, let's see how
Just
far she can move up if she can. Yeah, only 10 seconds. So that top 3 place is within grabs. Here comes the fast finishing Sandra Meyerhofer already a winner in the World Cup this year, of course, winner at Namur in her last outing, and of course winner of the full distance race in America as well at Oak Mountain. Now we're starting to flesh out that transition zone. There it is as they ran out. Solène Billouin in the lead, 2 French women in the lead. Grabmüller looking like her podium place might be under threat from yesterday's winner, the newly crowned European champion, Loane Duvoisin. Sandra Meyerhofer, what can she do to chase Duvoisin? In actual fact, those gaps are close, aren't they? All the way up to third. Any one of Meyerhofer, Duvoisin or Grabmüller could be taking that third spot here in this short track race.
They could, yeah. It's only 2.6 kilometres to run. So there's not a lot of time to close those gaps. I think we've definitely got our first and second place decided. Not sure which way round yet.
What do you think about run form, Nicole? I do think Billouin there, I mean, they all look tired. There's no holding back, is there? But who looks the better of those two?
I don't think anybody can look fast going up this climb.
I love it. Yeah, you're right. These steep technical climbs are a real mark of XTERRA racing. I was going to say elite XTERRA racing, but it's exactly the same for the age groupers, isn't it? That horrible feeling of a steep run away from the lake. You've only just got off the bike, and the run form is so completely different to the bike form, isn't it? And it's brutally hard.
It is, and the cameras don't do justice to quite how steep and technical these trails are.
No, lovely looking trails in the Katish forest. I wish I was there. I wouldn't mind taking a little, even just a stroll through the forest. It looks absolutely lovely. But, hello, Grabmüller's been caught. We wondered whether this might happen, and look at this. The newly crowned European champion Duvoisin is moving through this field. Question is, Nicole, maybe we need to start asking this, how far can she move through this field in that red tri-suit?
Yeah, I mean, we know Loane's an incredible runner. I think the 60 seconds that Solène and Elise have gotten her might be too much to close.
Let's see. I think she is going to close up a bit, but I think you might be right there, Nicole, that she's not going to close it up fully. Face of concentration of our World Cup leader, race leader, Solène Billouin, as she steps out the downhill. Of course, that is the cruel thing about this course. It's uphill all the way to the top of that ascent up the Katish forest, and then immediately straight downhill. So you're working your lungs on the way up, and then banging out your quads on the way down as well as you're trying to roll down the hill running. My goodness me, she's nearly completed the first lap of 2. This is going to be under 40 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a grimace on her face there. So although she does look like she's cruising along here, she's trying really hard. She doesn't want to give this first place up.
Let's look at the form of Alice Patier, who sits in 3rd place in the World Cup. She's only 30 points behind Marta Mendito. There's an opportunity here for Alice Patier to move up here today with these points that she would get from 2nd place. As you know, Nicole, I'm terrible with maths, so we might have to work that one out at the end, but this is a golden opportunity for the Frenchwoman, Alice Patier, to see if she can get ahead of the Italian Marta Mendito, who's sitting in that top 5, top 6. Let's see where she comes through.
One more lap to go for Solène.
I think this is the answer to what happened to her yesterday. Her first time off the podium, Solène Billouin, yesterday, down in 7th place. A full, what was she in the end? About 12 minutes down on Duvoisin yesterday by the finish. Definitely not on form, affected by, as we've had reported back to us from the ground out there, some kind of either insect or plant sting on Friday that left her feeling pretty ill yesterday. Anita Grabmüller persists, but she has been caught by the new European champion, Loane Duvoisin, here. Duvoisin certainly now not showing too many signs of fatigue from yesterday's full distance race.
Yeah, she always looks so smooth and comfortable when she runs. Just that fast leg turnover, covering the ground so quickly.
Yeah, quite different. And I don't know whether you can explain to people watching Nicole what the difference is between, you know, a season so far this year of racing elite tri on the road and then transitioning to this really technical course. What would be the main differences for her in terms of feel, I guess?
I mean, Loanne's an incredibly strong athlete anyway. She'll be putting hours and hours of training. And yes, this will be tough. It's a slightly different format, but she'll be more than capable of handling the terrain and the differences from going from a nice smooth road and onto the rocky, bumpy trails.
Right, look at this, because it's close in 5th and 6th as well. We've seen Grabmuller go through. This is Anna Zender and Sandra Meyerhofer. Those two very close together, aren't they?
Yeah, so Anna Zender's caught Sandra here. So Sandra just dropping back a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And that's Lizzie Orchard that we see on our screen now. She had a great yesterday. A really good swim as well. She was pleased with her swim.
That really is an indication of just how hard that particular climb is up to the top of the Katish Forest as well. You're right, you know, Nicole, the camera does no justice to it at all.
It doesn't.
How steep it is. Patier working hard up there. If you were to just look at these shots, if you didn't know what was happening in the race and you didn't know the quality of Elise Patier, you'd say, oh, that's someone way down the field who's really struggling just to finish. No. You're talking about the athlete in 2nd place, who is one of the very best XTERRA athletes in the world, looking to try and close in on 2nd place in the World Cup Series. It is just a brutally hard climb, this.
And we can see how steep it is by how that leg speed just slows right down. And actually, if you slow down so much, walking up this sort of hill might even be quicker.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lizzie Orchard, if anything, quite sensibly, just pretty much stepping out that climb at that point and just measuring out what she's got left over this final run. She's about to start that technical descent. But this is what's happening. Our race leader, Solène Bilwan, is actually going to catch Lizzie Orchard. We've just seen Orchard go through there. So we're lapping within this final run as well. This is the final lap of 2 for our leaders. Solène Bilwan in the lead, Alice Patier in 2nd. Where is Loanne de Voisin? How much closer to Patier can she get? This final run is as much mental as it is physical, isn't it? This run particularly with that hill, trying to stay positive is hard when you're nearly walking. That's Lizzie Orchard, who's just about to be caught by our race leader and soon to be race winner, Solène Bilwan. Orchard sportingly giving her the thumbs up as well as she comes past. That's nice to see, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's such tough racing that all these girls support each other.
I would have thought as well, Lizzie Orchard looking over her shoulder there, actually, she might be able to take a little bit of pace from Bilwan there. It probably helps being caught by the leader. We can see her, in actual fact, just stepping on a little bit and getting into her run stride. Well, that to one side, we're about to see our race leader. What a comeback from yesterday's 7th place. 7th place in a World Cup sounds great. I'd have loved that. But unfortunately, that's not the level she operates at. She is leading the World Cup, and she's never finished outside the podium this year, and she is just about to take a win in the final round of the World Cup before those before those World Championships in Italy. Solène Bilwan, well, she got back in touch with Anita Grabmuller on that bike and not just thought, I tell you what, I'll steadily wind my way past you. None of it. She absolutely attacked and hit it hard, and she has made it count as well. She's going to take the win here, the win of the short track race in XTERRA Czech, Solène Bilwan of France.
What a great race from Solène today. She really dominated that, didn't she?
She really did. Very deliberate. No kind of easing herself in to see whether she was still ill after that illness she'd experienced on Friday into Saturday. Alice Patier, Consistent, as I always say, and a 2nd
she
place.
Put up a good fight today.
It was close. It was very close in the end as well. That's the reason why Bilwan couldn't ease up. And here comes the European champion, only crowned 24 hours ago. Luan de Voisin, the Swiss woman, coming to the line with a really strong final run. It'll be interesting to see those final run splits as well, won't it? Because she'll be right up there.
She will indeed.
Anita Grabmüller also nearly into transition. Luan de Voisin taking third place. We'll see her on our podium presentations, of course. High five from Solène Billouin. And de Voisin looking good for those World Championships in Moveno in the Dolomites in Italy in a month's time. So we will mark our cards with her. I think we can call that a strong comeback, can't we, to XTERRA Racing after a season where she's not competed in any of these World Cups. Here comes Anita Grabmüller after that great opening swim, possibly slightly below par on the bike here by her high standards she sets herself nowadays. But a strong final run, and she will finish in fourth. Second in the European Full Distance Championships yesterday, and today fourth in the short track. Not a bad weekend.
Not a bad weekend of racing, is it?
Absolutely. And she is exhausted. That little, I say little, that big extra percentage of home favourite and the crowd. her racing compatriots pouring water over her. Billouin doing likewise. Here comes Anna Zender for a very fine fifth place too. And Sandra Meyerhofer doing her best to close the gap on Zender, but not quite having enough. The Italian woman crosses the line.
And it's hot out there today for these athletes.
There's Mendito across the line. Now, what will that have done to the World Cup standings? That'll be interesting. Marta Mendito's just come in, I'm losing track of it. I think she's just come in sixth, Nicole. Is that right? Zender was fifth?
Yes, it was be sixth or seventh.
Yeah. Well, she started the day after yesterday's full distance race in second in those World Cup standings. Now, let's see. Let's see what it does, because there was 124 points between her and Solène Billouin, but only, dearie me, my maths, about
32 points.
There we go. Thank you. Your mental arithmetic's a lot better than mine, Nicole, and I know that because everyone's is. There we go. Well, one person we know who won't need to worry about the World Cup standings after this is Solène Billouin, because she has won the final World Cup round before those World Championships in a month's time.
The Czech athlete, Helena Karaskova, coming through now.
Another fantastic finish from her.
Raced
Then she's
XTERRA
inside.
For a very long time, incredibly experienced athlete.
Well, plenty of support from her in the home crowd. I also wondered, and this is a conversation we never really got to have, Nicole, was how much the understanding or the knowledge of those home trails would be for the Czech athletes. It's got to help, hasn't it, once you've ridden the course plenty of times. Although, as you say, someone with the experience of Krashkova would know much of this course anyway from previous years, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the short track hasn't been around for that long, but certainly the long distance race, yes, it's had changes to it over the years. But it's predominantly very similar each year. So she'll enjoy the course, she'll enjoy racing against home crowds.
So Mendito was seventh. We've just seen Krashkova come in eighth. We'll bring you all these results on the screen, of course, once they're all in with us provisionally.
And Karina Wazel coming through now, another inexperienced athlete, enjoying the new short track format.
Yeah, I wonder over time, as the short track becomes, well, common at more and more of these World Cup races, whether we'll see some, I mean, it is quite different, isn't it? I wonder whether we'll see more of the specialists, people who are specifically targeting the short track over the standard full distance race. It's tricky though, isn't it? When you bear in mind you've got to do both anyway. Right. Looks like Doug.
Okay, congratulations, Luan. Third place at the XTERRA short track here in the Czech Republic. You've got to be happy with that after yesterday's race.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it was my main goal was yesterday. So yeah, of course, today I finished third. That's quite a good place. And yeah, I really tried to push the pace in the end. yesterday was really a tough day with the heat, and yeah, it's quite long. So then the day after, it's never easy to feel ready to race again, and also mentally to be in the right place. But yeah, I think I managed quite well, so that's good.
And we saw you in a chase group with Sandra Meyer-Hofer. I know you two are really good friends, but it looks like you really pushed the pace. Hopefully you're still friends now, but you had to make the move.
Yeah, no, of course, for sure. If she won, I'm so happy for her, and yeah, I think for her it's the same. And yeah, if we can help each other on a race, we will make it. And after the second loop, I saw, okay, on the flat part, I can really push the pace. So then I was, okay, if I want to catch the front pack, I really have to push a bit more. So I try, but then I read thought that she will find me, but yeah, then she did not follow. So, but yeah.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy a bit of rest.
Thank you. Bye.
Doug Hall with the high five for this weekend's newly crowned European champion, Loane Duvoisin, in third. Interesting to hear about her friendship and training regular with Sandra Meyer-Hofer as well. But yeah, I'm not sure there's much time for talking out there. I don't even think Doug asked the question, I hope you haven't fallen out. I'm not sure there's even time to fall out. You can't fall in or out. It is brutal. And we've just seen Anna White finish. Sorry, Anna Ware finish, the Polish athlete. Excuse me, reading from my start list. Nice to see, isn't it? And this is quite common with XTERRA. You only get it more in XTERRA than you do in other forms of triathlon as well. Solène Bilwan waiting there by that finish gantry and cheering in, high-fiving in all of these elites as they finish. It's nice. Let's hear from Doug, who has
gave us some really exciting race to watch there. Was it as exciting in there as it was for us to watch?
Yeah, it was very exciting. The race is beautiful, and it's very not technical, but it's risky. And with the jump, so I tried to have fun and to do my best, and I tried until the end.
So was that key for you today, to have fun?
Yeah, I love the jump, the rocks, the climb, the downhill. So I tried to push as I can, but it was difficult today to breathe normally. So yeah, it's like that.
And we saw quite a significant move in the race where you managed to ride up to the wheel of Solène at the end of lap 3. And what did you have going through your head? You think, okay, now we go, now we have a race.
I tried to have a good swim. I think I did a good swim. I was not too far from Aneta. And then with Solène, we were closer from Aneta. We were quite together. And at the end of the third lap, I saw on the flat part that I was not bad and I was coming back. And Solène passed me just before the jump, and I didn't want to take the risk to take the jump after her. So I decided to take the beeline. And after, it was difficult to have the gap, and I tried to push on the run, but it was difficult for me to breathe today, so it's like that.
Well, congratulations. It was certainly exciting to watch.
Alice Patier, who I think, Nicole, will move up to second place in the World Cup standings today. We'll see once that's confirmed for us. That was interesting to hear that she took the beeline round the drop as well to try and get a tactical advantage. It's easy to forget in a race so short that she and Bilwan did come together, didn't they? They were hooked up together on the bike.
They did, yeah, and it sounds like it's quite a challenging A-line, and she's not going to want to go into that wheel-to-wheel with Solène. If Solène makes a mistake on that, then Elise is then coming off, or potentially hurting herself as well. So by taking that B-line, she's got a little bit of space. She can ride at her own time.
Race yesterday, but you came back with a vengeance and absolutely smashed that short track course today.
Yeah, yesterday I really had a hard time at the race. My body was just not ready to race, and I felt really empty, no energy. But I focused on myself yesterday just to make it to the finish line. I think it's also good to show that even if you are not strong, you can battle. It's what I wanted to show, and today was another day, and I could fight, so I'm really happy.
So tell us about what it was like going head-to-head with Elise. You guys are by far, some of the best athletes in the world. It must be so fun to have a real battle on the bike like this.
Yeah, of course. I think we kind of like it because it becomes tactical also. We try to overtake in some strategic points, and I did some mistakes and she could catch me, and then she overtakes. So it's nice when there is some move in the race, and and today I could run a bit faster and make the smart move.
And just sum up what it means to win another short track race here in the Czech Republic. But if you could answer in French for your fans back home, that would be amazing.
Ouais, 3 short track, 3 victoires. J'aime beaucoup ce format. C'est toujours un plaisir de se mettre à fond. Faut pas trop réfléchir et avec les années et l'expérience, j'apprends à juste aller à bloc, donc c'est agréable.
Excellent. I'll pretend I know what that is. Well done, Solène. Congratulations.
Doug Hall, I'm very disappointed in you. I understood that very clearly. Delighted to be celebrating the victory, and there's the result overall for today's short track race in Czechia. Solène Billouin taking the win, 2 French women on top, along with Alice Patier. Loane Duvoisin, the Swiss woman, one of 2 Swiss athletes in that top 5, sandwiching Anita Grabmüller with a fine 4th place, despite the fact she may have looked a little bit below par today, Grabmüller. I had her down as a favourite to get her first World Cup win here today, but didn't quite happen. Sandra Meyerhofer, one of 2 Italians in the top 7, with Marta Mendito as well. So Mendito in 7th. We wait to see what that does to those World Cup standings. Don't forget there are World Cup points available at the World Championships, where we have short track and full distance races, of course.
And we've just had those World Cup series updated. So Solène still in first position. Marta holds on to her 2nd place by 8 points ahead of Elise Patier's.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it's all to play for going into Morvino.
Can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be so good. If you can't be there with us, of course, on the ground, folks, you don't forget you can watch this here at the XTERRA YouTube channel. You'll be able to see it live. Nicole and I are going to be bringing you live commentary from the Dolomites. That is going to be a rather tasty battle. Solène Billouin will want to, as we look at her here, chatting with Duvoisin, she will want to, I'm sure, take a world title. But I tell you what, it might be interesting to see what this woman, Loane Duvoisin, can do between now and Italy in around about a month's time, those World Championships, in terms of just sharpening up maybe her off-road form. We could have quite a battle on our hands between, well, these 3 women, really. They're going to be the favourites going into those World Championships. Alice Patier gives a hug to 3rd place finisher and European champion Loane Duvoisin. And they await the World Cup leader, Frenchwoman Solène Billouin, still on top on the day, on top on the standings. Can she carry that form towards those World Championships? She, of course, was the winner last time out in the full distance World Championships, ahead of Alice Patier.
So Solène will be aiming for her 3rd world title in Morvino this year.
That'll be a special moment, not least because it's a return to Morvino in the Dolomites as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you might know this maybe better than me, Nicole. I think it might be the last World Championship in this cycle in Trentino in the Dolomites as well. Is that right? I don't want to be giving duff information.
I'm not too sure, actually.
Right, hold on to that, folks. Don't go reporting it anywhere. That might be a page of my memory, which it is a page of my memory. I think that might be the case. I'll look to confirm that. If I can't confirm it today, I'll confirm it on my social media. But either way, it's going to be brilliant. And I do hope lots of you are there to join us as well. If you're coming to watch, as I know lots of you will be, because some of you watching will be fans and friends and family of those who are racing in these elite races too, come and say hi to Nicole and I. It'd be lovely to catch up with lots of you that week, and friends and family of the big XTERRA family, the wider XTERRA family as well, who all round in on those World Championships in Italy in a month's time. Well, looking back at the highlights of the race, it was a great swim in that golden cap by Solène Billouin to keep Anita Grabmüller. Look at there grappling with her helmet strap as well, desperately trying to make and take advantage of that. But the catch was so quick, Nicole. I couldn't believe how quick it was.
I mean, we talked about transition being so important. Any little mistake there and that's it, that's your gap gone.
And there was that moment where we saw Elise Patier going, right, I'm going to take it to Bilwan here. But there, Bilwan coming back and really laying the pressure on just before they got to the top of the climb. And the gap was really made in the end in that technical descent, wasn't it? She was so good through there. Every one of these runners looked in all sorts of pain on that steep stepping climb up to the top of the Katish forest. And the likes of Lizzie Orchard being lapped on the final run by race leader Solène Bilwan, and that's certainly nothing to be sniffed at when you consider the level of these elite athletes on such short course racing. Well, even though we've shown you the podium presentation, don't be going anywhere, will you? Because if you stay with us on our YouTube channel here, on the XTERRA YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the men's elite race, which is coming up imminently. In actual fact, you can see our elite men gathering down there, ready for the start of their penultimate round, location round in the XTERRA World Cup. So we're going to have a slight pause for a moment, and you can join us for the men's race, where we will see Félix Forissier, the Frenchman, looking to, again, cement his overall lead. He only has, though, a 52-point lead over the ever-improving Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen of Denmark, who is flying at the moment, in great form, too. Who's going to get the win in the men's race? Well, welcome to our coverage of the elite men's race here at the penultimate location, the penultimate stop on the World Cup series from Prachatissia in Czechia. And we're looking back at highlights of this season so far. The preceding, well, 6 rounds, 6 locations that take us towards the World Championship, which is our final stop on the World Cup circuit. And what a range of different courses we've seen across the whole of it. Sea swims, forest trails, rocky, tough bike courses, faster ones and pack riding combined with epic single track and some quite fascinating battles as well between these elite men. Of course, don't forget they race the same courses and the same distance as the elite women, which of course makes complete sense, but I'm just pointing that out really clearly. Arthur Serrière, there he is, the Frenchman, again coming into very best form at just the right time. But it is his countryman, Félix Forissier, who heads up a strong French contingent, of course. He leads 694 points after yesterday's European Championships, where he was second to that man, Arthur Serrière. And Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, the Dane to the left there, continuing to improve all the time. There are their World Cup rankings. Félix Forissier in the lead ahead of Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen of Denmark. Arthur Serrière now up into third, the Frenchman, having had a slower start to the season. I should point out, by the way, Arthur Forissier, Félix's brother, is still in fourth in those World Cup standings, but he is not here due to injury.
Yeah, I'm quite consistent this year, but I would prefer to be more on top, and yeah, we'll see how the 2 races will go. All around went well, but in Quebec I wasn't in shape to race. I had a family problem, I lost someone, but yeah, I was quite consistent all the time, but even I prefer to be even higher on the ranking, but the field is really strong this year.
I think it will be a really great battle. Jens is pretty strong, and Seria come back strong as well. So yeah, I think it will be a tough race, and yeah, my concurrents will be really hard to beat.
So the thoughts there of Max Chanet, the Frenchman, and the leading Frenchman, Félix Forissier. He knows, in fact, he's hinted at it there, hasn't he, Nicole, that the suspicion might be the threat is going to come from Arthur Serrière, who won those European Championships yesterday. We know the form he's in. He's going to be a big threat today, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, both Felix and Arthur have got a short track win behind them this season, so that's I think where the battle going to be.
Well, the course is exactly the same as our elite women's race. Most of you will have just been following us for that as well. If you haven't, and you're watching this back later on, go back and watch the elite women's race, because it was a fascinating battle that was so close, as it so often is in short track racing. So exactly the same, 4 1.9 kilometre laps up into the Katish forest and back again, and a very similar lap for the final run, but the final run is brutally short, just 2 1.3 kilometre laps. So they're not quite going as far up into the forest, but the run trail pretty much tracks alongside the mountain bike route too. It just comes back on itself a little bit sooner to come back down to the Katishki Lake and the finish on the sand there alongside it. It is a stunningly beautiful day in Czechia, and this is our start list. We have 23 elite men locked and loaded, ready to go. Not all of the World Cup top 10 are here, because there's no Federico Spinazzi, which is a shame, because he'd normally be right up there in the swim as well. No Kieran McPherson either, but the other 7 are all there. I'll remind you again, Arthur Forissier, who's in 4th in the World Cup, is not here due to injury, so we wish him well on his return to form, and hopefully he might be able to get himself back in for those World Championships in a month's time in the Dolomites. There are all of the starters. They're ready to go. They're going to be called forward to their gridding position, and foremost amongst them, of course, will be the World Cup leader, Félix Forissier. Winner, of course, of the opening round in Taiwan way back in March, Forissier, before his brother took over and won XTERRA Greece a month later. But then Félix Forissier since then has just been so consistent. Is Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen going to get that win today that he's been threatening since he won, of course, in Belgium in Namur, but he's been continually improving. Let's see how far up in the swim he can finish as well.
I think Jens will have something to prove today. He had a great race yesterday, but unfortunately picked up a few penalties, which potentially cost him that win in the European Championships.
Yeah, you say, Nicole, some penalties. He picked up 3, didn't he, yesterday? I'll just let people know what they were, because these are the unofficial rules. It's probably unfair of me to point them out, but he did get 3 30-second penalties. One for, maybe you could explain this to me, because I don't understand it, Nicole. One for being late into transition 2, that is, late into transition. So it'd be a late dismount, won't it? Must be a late dismount, I presume. Racking his bike incorrectly in T2, so he was so desperate to get out on that final run quickly. He's made 2 mistakes there in the eyes of the judges. And on the final run, some of you at home might be amazed at this, but he got a 30-second penalty for running with a bare chest. So basically, his tri-suit or top unzipped, and you're not allowed to do that in triathlon now as well. And, well, they're the rules, aren't they? Any comment, Nicole?
They are, unfortunately, so need to stick to them, else it'd be anyone's game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, I haven't said this, but it's worth me pointing out that in elite, well, in cross-tri and in XTERRA specifically, which is the top elite level, it's draft legal, so at least you can't pick up any penalties for drafting, because that would be quite tricky to judge on a course like this, wouldn't it? Thankfully, the riders can take a bit of draft on the bike and slip past each other in this technical single track. Right, let's see how this swim goes. Who would we expect to lead out of the swim?
Well, I'm just picking up that blue hat at the front there, trying to work out who that is.
I can see the gold hat. Forissier is in about 4th or 5th place. Michele Bonacina has been probably the best of this pack in the swims so far this year. Let's see what colour cap he has got on today.
And he had a great race yesterday as well. 4th position for Michele Bonacina in the European Championships.
He is in a green swim cap
at the moment.
Yeah, and actually yesterday, you're right, he had a fantastic race. We so often see him leading out the swim onto the bike and then just gradually drifting backwards, not dramatically, but just about, and it is him. No, sorry, it's Max Chanet. Max Chanet has got the number 5 on his hat there. Having said that, that's not the colour I was expecting. I think we might ignore the swim cap colours for the moment. Chanet is up there, though. And we'll get a clear sight on them as they come out at the end of this first lap. 2 minutes of swimming, so you're looking at around about probably 4.5 minutes, something like that, for the swim in its entirety. Now, I'm a terrible swimmer, Nicole, as I think you know. I could swim for about 4.5 minutes, but nowhere near as quick as these guys.
There's
no
that's
holding back,
Michele
is there?
Bonacina in 2nd position there.
Yep, he's usually the tallest. And
Felix
Farissier
Farissier
right on him.
in 3rd.
Let's look
Really
as
tight
well.
group of athletes here coming out the swim. That's Max Chanet there.
Where is Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen? Was that him just coming out there? It's always notable to see how much time he's lost in these swims, because he's normally, in a field like this, he could be as far down in as even 10th or 12th, something like that, and then we see him working his way through on the bike as well. There it is for us at the moment.
And looks like Arthur Serrières has had a really good swim today as well, just a few seconds off the pace of those front few athletes.
So it's Jan Kraszanowski, the Polish athlete, who was through there ahead of Bonacina. So it's nice in a way to see Bonacina have a bit of competition pushing him on at the front, but Felix Farissier is not letting those two get clear. Is he, Nicole? Right on them in the gold cap.
He's not, no, he's using that slipstream behind these athletes to hold onto that pace.
There's that top 16 confirmed for you. Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen down in 12th. I pick him out because he's 2nd in the World Cup standings, and we know how strong he is in the bike and run discipline as well. So work to do. But as we've seen, there are overtaking places. There are B lines, as we heard from Alice Patier, round those drops as well. And those B lines, which go to the edge of the drop, a bit smoother but a bit longer, provide an opportunity for someone like Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen to be slipping past other athletes in the technical section where he's so good on the bike. We'll watch out for the Dane.
And memories that we can share.
So will it be Kraszanowski, the Pole, who leads out first?
What a crazy battle between all of these big boys.
Fantastic swim by Farissier there, Nicole, in that gold cap in 3rd. I think we'll call that in the leading pack. Oh, no, he is. He's just a third swimmer there. So he is in that leading
just
group
on
of
the
3.
feet of these leading 2.
What a perfect start for him.
And this is
Where is Serrières, who won yesterday, of course, the world champion in such good form at the end of the year? We'll look to see where Arthur Serrières comes out. I must admit, I didn't spot his name. He'll have been there, but I didn't spot his name when we saw that top 15 or so. There's Farissier coming out in 3rd. Bonacina it is who leads out, as he would have wanted to, I suspect. Kraszanowski, the Polish athlete, out in 2nd at the moment. There he is. Who's going to get out on the bike first, though? Bonacina here, so used to starting the mountain bike leg of these XTERRA World Cups in the lead, but yes,
And that was a very fast
Bonacina
transition
out first.
from him there.
Kraszanowski, the Polish athlete. I've just seen Chanet coming out. There's Serrières, the new European champion after his win yesterday. Chanet does up the straps on his shoes. He's choosing to run out in the bike shoes. It looks like nearly everyone's running out in the bike shoes, but as you can see, they're not everyone. I wouldn't fancy, well, I think I'd probably, I don't know, there's a right mix. There goes Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen. He's also got the shoes left on the bike. I'd say it's half and half there, Nicole, in terms of
There is a
athletes
mix,
who are
isn't
choosing
there?
to
And I
put a shoe on.
think going out onto the bike in such a big pack like that, I'd perhaps already want my shoes on. And then I'm not trying to look at down my feet, fiddle around with my shoes. I can just get out, stop pedaling, get clear.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that. Get the shoes on, no messing around with straps.
Yeah.
As we see there. You know, it's quite, because you're straight into a little slight uphill and a technical bit round a tree, which we've seen a couple of riders in the women's race slipping on as well underneath that tree. I think getting the shoes on advance would be an advantage. But I guess some of these athletes as well will stick to what they have decided will be their game plan on the day. That's what they do, and that's what they're going to do on the day, regardless.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's always good to have a plan and then sticking to it. Still needs to have that flexibility though to change and to go with the race.
Let's see how our race leader at the moment, Michele Bonacina, the Italian, can do. He's in the lead of the race at the moment on this, the first lap of 4 here at Praketica, XTERRA, Czech, and the Italian in the lead.
Bonacina likes to go out hard on the bike, doesn't he? We've seen this before where he tries to put the gap into the athletes behind him.
World champion Arthur Serrier has just ridden past us there. You can see the rainbow bands on the base of his tri-suit shorts to indicate that he is the current world champion. Michele Bonacina, I guess in a way, you're right, Nicole, he does like to go out hard, but you can understand why, because he's so often in the lead. And if he can get a little bit of a gap and allow the likes of Forissier and Serrier to battle it out between them behind, as I think we're about to see, they might start looking at each other. I know that sounds ridiculous, but is there that thought, there must be that thought in Bonacina's head that they start getting a bit tactical about things and he can just press on out front by himself.
Yeah, while he's out front and he's got that clear trail, he can ride his own pace, he can find his own rhythm. And he's not got to worry about the other two behind him until they catch him, if they make that catch.
We're looking a bit further down through the field there. Just seen the German, Martin Gelbhard, riding past us. 23 elite men in this World Cup round. The short track today. There goes Arthur Serrier, the European champion, crowned yesterday, right up with Felix Forissier. Don't forget, Serrier is in third. Third in the World Cup standings, I should say, after yesterday. Where is Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen? We need to be picking him out on our screens. We'll look out for the Dane, because he will be ripping through this field. Of course, the problem with doing what he does, Nicole, is that he has to take risks, doesn't he? Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen almost has to take more risks than anyone else in here because he's got to make up time on this bike leg.
Yeah, he's got to find those places to overtake in this single track, else he just won't make it to the front of the race with enough time.
Bonacina has only got himself to be battling with at the moment, and he's about to come into that technical drop as well. He's over the top of the climb in the Catiche Forest, and he now starts that. Well, as we heard from, I think it was Alice Patier in the women's race say, she didn't feel like it's an overly technical course. There's the first of those 2 drops. We've been calling them jumps in the run-up to this race. Technically, they're not, are they? They're kind of step downs, aren't they? You roll over it, and you've got like, 60, 70 centimetres, no, what would it be? 50 centimetres at most of a drop.
So from hearing some of the feedback from the drops, I don't think it's the actual drop that's the challenging bit, it's the landing. I think it's quite a flat landing that's got a few little roots and things on it. So if you get that takeoff wrong and you're then landing in the wrong place, that's where the challenge then comes.
That makes sense. So after 1 lap, Michele Bonacina pops himself over the little speed hump there. I hadn't noticed that until now. Just before he comes into transition, little check of the back wheel too.
Yeah, he's really pushing it here.
Yeah, he is. He is, isn't he? And that bit, we saw that in the women's race. That is in a way, that deliberately low-hanging tree there. You could have cropped it, but no, that adds to the technical nature, doesn't it? You've got to duck, watch Forissier, under and round. There's only just enough time to correct the bike before the course tape too. I love that bit. There we go. Right, here comes Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen. Did you see that, Nicole? He's still messing with his shoe
still
now.
Adjusting his shoes.
Now that, from a coaching perspective, I think that is all the reason to get your shoes on in transition. I'm going to call it right there. The fact that he's still messing with his shoe strap, 1 of the 4 laps in, says get the shoes on in transition, surely. There we go. Anyway, that's my own personal opinion. I'm going to park it there. Right, still quite high up as well. This is Bart Koymans of the Netherlands.
I mean, Jens Emil has made some
Where he
real
is.
progress on that first lap. He's only 15 seconds behind Arthur Serrières and 20 behind
Amazing.
Felix Frisier.
I say amazing, it's what we've come to expect of him, but how on earth has he passed so many people so quickly? He must have, our cameras didn't pick it up, but Jens Emil Nielsen must have absolutely ripped up the climb to the top of the forest the first time. 31 seconds, let's see how deep he can go into this. He's a real threat to that podium if he can get on terms with Serrières and Forissier. We could have one of the biggest battles in the men's race series so far this year, right here.
And of course, Jens Emil has tasted his first victory this year in Belgium.
Yeah.
Although it was
Yeah,
a slightly different race, converted to that duathlon course.
Yeah, and that bike course in Namur as well, it suits someone like him as well, with the long climb, where the real bike specialist can make the most of it. Talking of which, I think Forissier is putting the hurt on Serrières here. He is. There's daylight between them, and he looks round to see it too. So Forissier, the series leader, is closing in on Bonacina, but having the sense to look back. Here comes Jens Emil Nielsen, the Dane, who is on a charge. It looks like he's got Chanet with him there as well, going with him.
Yeah, he's got Maxim Chanet for company. Max will be wanting to take pace from Jens, hoping that he'll take him up to the front of the race with him.
He might just do that, Nicole, by the looks of it. Oh, I love the short track racing. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Here comes Felix Forissier on my favourite part of the course, that narrow single track. Looks like it's flat. It definitely isn't. This is very much still part of the climb to the top of the Catiche Forest. Arthur Serrières, the new European champion again after yesterday's win. Will he catch Bonacina, who's still in the lead? Forissier has not yet done the damage, and we're coming towards half distance on this bike course. Yeah, I think I've been a bit under-generous with the drop. That's actually much more of a drop than I've given it credit for, I think, Nicole. Here comes Sloth Nielsen. Sloth Nielsen riding that Cannondale with the lefty fork, the single-sided fork. It's the only brand that does that. If you've not seen it before at home, folks, you're not into your bike tech, watch that front fork there of the Dane as he comes through, Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen. I think he's the only rider who's on that Cannondale setup in this top 10 anyway, and it's got that one-sided lefty fork, which Cannondale have stuck with now. Bonacina still in the lead. He looks good. He's looked good. He's not just the super strong swimmer who then loses places on the bike. He's still a threat for that podium very much, and dare I say it right now, still a threat for the overall win.
He is. I always think he looks very focused.
Yeah, he's also gone for the dropper post. We see him sitting down on the saddle there to push his dropper post down over this technical descent.
And it's quite loose, that section there, going out onto the gravel.
Yep, long downhill on that loose gravel. I think maybe to people watching at home around the world, watching this live feed or watching it back later on maybe as a replay, it would be easy to assume that this course is actually easier than it is. Certainly for an athlete that's not quite at the level of these guys here, this would be quite a testing technical course. Particularly, as you say, Nicole, with that loose gravel, coming off those drops and then landing on loose gravel and then cornering at speed. This part of the course is really fast. It's even, I would call it technical here, because you've got to get the transition between these different surfaces right. You've got grass.
You don't want to be carrying too
sand.
much speed off that tarmac onto the grass and then onto the sand.
Exactly. That's 2 laps of the 4 laps done. And Felix Forissier dips under the orchard trees there by the look of it. Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, I think, is up into 3rd by the looks of it. Oh no, sorry, Serrières is still in 3rd. So Sloth Nielsen in 4th as he comes onto the mat through transition.
He's closed that gap some more though.
Yes, he has. He's only 8 seconds behind Serrières. So Jens Emil Sloth Nielsen, having come off the swim in somewhere in the teens as he was, he has flown through this bike course as we expected him to as well. Max Chanet in
I think these
5th.
top 4 athletes all might come together before the end of this bike.
How exciting. And And what can Michele Bonacina do once that happens? Unfortunately, the form books say he might be the loser in that situation between Forissier, Serrier and Slot-Nielsen. How much has Slot-Nielsen had to do? How much has it taken out of him to make that chase over the first 2 laps? He has 2 laps of this bike course left to see if he can even get into the lead. If he maintained his pace from that, certainly that opening lap, you could see him taking the lead by the end of this, but he's got to catch them first.
He has. I mean, in a foot race, Jens Emil is certainly one of the faster athletes. It's a close call between Jens and Arthur Serrières. I think Jens had the faster run split yesterday.
Yeah. Let's see, this is the short track format. I'll remind viewers as well, they raced the whole full distance European Championship yesterday. A really tough outing. We're talking about Serrier taking the win yesterday in 2 hours 36. That's going to take a lot out of anyone. And they had to finish inside that top 30 anyway, these elites, in order to be able to race today. Here we have Arthur Serrier, the new European champion, on the climb to the top of the Catiche Forest on the penultimate lap of 4. Felix Forissier, the World Cup leader, has now caught our race leader, Michele Bonacina, hanging on to Forissier at the moment. There's Serrier right there, and here comes Jens Emil Slot-Nielsen. You're right, Nicole, it is coming back together. We could even be going into T2 at the end of these 4 laps with all 4 of them together.
I think once they're all together as well, no one's going to want to let anybody go.
Max Chanet here, now looking like he might be being distanced. It's hard work for everyone on this climb anyway. Chanet was hanging on to Jens Emil Slot-Nielsen, but it does look like the Frenchman now might be losing time to what we think could be a neatly forming leading group of 4. Bonacina is actually getting a little bit of, I talked about the non-drafting, but he is now able to sit on the wheels a little bit, the Italian, if he can hang on. Jens Emil Slot-Nielsen pops over it with that lefty fork I was talking about, with the number 2 on his plate. He's got to get in touch though, and he's not quite on with Serrier just yet. I think by the looks of the weather as well in Czechia, Nicole, they're lucky that it is so forested up here, because a tough climb like that in the sunshine, if that was an open exposed climb, it would be really brutal in pretty warm racing conditions.
It would. At least they're getting a little bit of cool shade through these woods.
And Bonacina, I think quite sensibly, aiming to try and keep the lead. He doesn't want somebody pushing too hard on the descent. Of course, once he's in the lead, he's got clear sight of the train in front of him, the Italian. We could even see him coming into T2 in the lead, or in this leading group, ready to start that final run. And as you say, it's going to come down to a foot race. I think you're right already, Nicole, anyway. We'll be hearing the bell this time through, but I think we're going to see a foot race from the very off, and a sprint one at that, between these leading group of 4. I've got my fingers crossed, you know, for Michele Bonacina, as we see him pump his dropper post again one more time for the start of the descent. But I've got my fingers crossed for him. He would be well deserving of a fine podium place here. Maybe even a win, but I shouldn't be writing him off at this stage, should I?
No, definitely not. There's still one more lap on the bike to go.
Forissier fancies the lead, though. He knows that Serrier is coming as well. Serrier's still not on yet, but Forissier wants to lead through transition. He overtakes Bonacina. They're going to push each other. They're going to have to be careful through these loose corners. We've seen it again. Here comes the transition from cobbles to tarmac to grass to sand. Within the space of 10 metres, the back wheel kicking out as they enter it too. Through transition, we're going to hear the bell ringing this time. It's going to be World Cup leader Felix Forissier who's going to lead going out onto the final lap. Serrier is on. Jens Emil Slot-Nielsen not quite there yet, the Dane. He's got to get on terms with them, or you'd think, for when they start that final run. And Max Chanet is hanging in well, Nicole, isn't he?
He is. He's saying he's by himself as well, and he's perhaps can't see that front group now when he's in the woods. He's not got that target to chase.
Running repairs being made by our crew there, very sensibly ducking out of the way as Max Chanet entered the mat there through transition on the sand. Felix Forissier assessing the situation now, looking round to see where Bonacina is, and of course the big threat coming from Arthur Serrier, who's locked on, the current world and European champion. And Jens Emil Slot-Nielsen goes into that bridge and he's on. So that's it now, Nicole. By the looks of it, we have the 4 hooked up on this, the final bike lap.
Yeah, very exciting racing to see them all come together. I think we'll see some attacks going up this steep climb through the woods as well. Everyone's going to want to be in the front going into that descent.
Just looking to see, I think we've got Sebastian Neef coming through. Apologies, Scotty Anderson of Germany. Scott Anderson, there we go, in sixth. Max Chanet in fifth, Scott Anderson in sixth. Baptiste.
So this is that steep part of the climb. I think we just saw Jens putting in that attack there.
Yeah, so he has caught them and tried to go straight past them. Can they hang on? He wants to make the absolute most of this. Felix Parissier going with Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, number 1 and 2 in the World Cup standings. What has Arthur Serrier got left? Michele Bonacina just feeling it right now. A gap back to him, but he's got Arthur Serrier just behind him. I'm not sure Serrier is quite as strong on the bike today. We knew, didn't we? We knew that Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen would be up for this today to catch, pass and press on. But Felix Parissier holding on to that World Cup lead. He's having absolutely none of it right now.
Yeah, Arthur perhaps looks like he's struggling a little bit there. I wouldn't have thought he'd want to be behind Bonacina and missing this attack as it's gone.
Here's the question we can only answer in about 15 minutes' time. Who in here is paying too many pennies out and might come to pay for the lot of it on that final run? As we see one of the lapped riders just getting out of the way at the moment, knowing the race is coming to him. He's going to have to take that drop ahead of a charging Michele Bonacina and Arthur Serrier, who I think Serrier might be a little bit caught behind Bonacina here. I don't know, either that or he's just not quite as on it today. He's looking for a space to try and overtake Nicole.
He is, but he's just not quite got that kick to get around, has he?
Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen putting the pressure on Felix Parissier on this technical descent. We know he's the best bike handler here, more or less. Normally, I would say that Arthur Serrier would be right up there with him in terms of technical flair and ability on a descent like this. But Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, if he can only just improve his swim by that little tiny bit more, so he's not got to do so much work on the bike. He makes it count because he's so good on the pedals and on his feet of the final run. But boy, has he got the danger man with him, Nicole. Felix Parissier here does not want to let him get daylight before they get into second transition. And Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen looking round and knowing they start this final technical descent down the drops. The dropper posts are down. They're going to go into T2 together, these two, by the looks of it. Let's not forget,
and just controlling the speed a little bit as they change those surfaces.
Yep, there we are, off the forest terrain for the final time. Katiz Forest exited back down to the Great Katishki Lake and the transit. Well, already feet being touched by Parissier. They're undoing his shoes. They're about to come into transition. As we know, the transition in the short track racing is almost as important as the race itself, out on the swim, the bike and the run. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen undoing the straps, taking the shoes off. He's going to be the first one in, but he has World Cup leader Felix Parissier with him. And now we'll get a really clear indication of the gap between them and that next group behind.
They'll both need a nice clean transition here. They're not going to want to give away any seconds.
Well, let's not forget as well those three penalties that Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen there in the blue and yellow shoes. He's just taking a little bit longer to get his shoes on. There he goes out. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen goes out second. Felix Parissier out in the lead. So with a little bit of mental impetus, Arthur Serrier so strong on the final run. The Frenchman, the European and world champion, there he goes in third. Michele Bonacina, so deserving of a podium place. Can he hang on and even claw back some places? Max Chanet is going to be the next into transition too. It is all going to come down to this 2-lap final run. It's only 2.6k, but it's going to be 2.6 brutal kilometres.
It is, and they don't get away without doing that steep climb on the run.
No, we saw that in the women's race, didn't we? Just how hard that run was. Athletes finishing in the top 10 and yet pretty much having to walk bits of that run too, just to keep the feet moving. So here we go. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, who's done so much on that bike. I'm presuming he's got the fastest bike split, but we haven't seen that just yet. I'll try and update you on that. But Felix Parissier leading with Sloth-Nielsen right on him. Oh, bike problem there, I think, for Kirchner of the USA.
And we'll find out now if Jens is going to pay for that effort on the bike.
Yes, we will. We're looking a bit further down the field here now. The next of our athletes coming in. It's a compact field of 23 elite XTERRA athletes here. Baptiste Foudorcel is the next in as well. Here they are. So Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen there, just pushing his chest out a little bit. Felix Farissier also pressing the pace on. There's a very good chance, I guess, but if those two are pushing the pace and try to drop each other up here, they could well stay clear of Serrière. But where is Arthur Serrière? I want to see a visual on that gap. That would be nice. Maybe we won't get that until we're down again by transition alongside the lake. But Farissier there, did you notice that, Nicole? He had a little look over his shoulder, didn't he?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Arthur Serrière is going to catch this gap back to the front.
Well, we're seeing 12 seconds back to Arthur Serrière. Bonacina is pretty well clear of Max Chanet, but Chanet will try and catch Bonacina for sure. The Italian needs to work really hard over the coming lap and a half to hang on to that fourth place at the moment. There is Serrière. Serrière's got them right in his sight as well. This could be a brilliant battle between these three. Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen leads. Felix Farissier, World Cup leader, in second. That's the World Cup 1 and 2 there, just in reverse order right now. But Arthur Serrière, third in the World Cup standings, is closing in the Frenchman. Two Frenchmen and a Dane leading this race.
Yeah, Jens is really hurting now. You can see that pain on his face. But he's going to keep pushing all the way to the end. He'll want this win today.
Yeah, I think that's the mark of the climb, isn't it, Nicole? I think even if you tried to jog up there, it's one of those climbs that's so steep, it can't be taken easily. You can't recover on that. It's horrible. Yes, as we so often see with the strong bikers, one of the things I've noticed this season with Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen is how well he runs downhill. It's a common mark of those who are good on the bike in that they can kind of stride out and take the pressure on their quads as they lean in and try and roll down the hill. Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen really ripping down there, making Felix Farissier work hard. We see the same from Arthur Serrière here, really striding out with long strides on the downhill, and a little bit of daylight there, Nicole, just a crack.
Yeah, I mean, these downhills aren't really recovery, are they? They're going so fast down them.
Looking forward to seeing where Michele Bonacina is. Well, he led for half the race, didn't he, after that lead out of the swim. Let's see if he can stay clear of Max Chanet, who was in fifth. They're going to hear the bell this time. One final lap to go on this final run here in the penultimate stop on the World Cup calendar before World Championships in Trentino in the Dolomites in Italy in just over a month's time. Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen, Felix Farissier. Is Farissier waiting? Is that what he's waiting for, maybe? Just sit on Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen, let him work hard.
I imagine there'll be a little bit of cat and mouse going on here.
Can I tempt you to tell me what order these three are going to finish in? Go on, what do you think? What do you reckon? One lap's time.
I think Jens might have it today. Let's go Jens, Felix, and then Arthur.
Oh, right.
Although Arthur Serrière has really closed that gap.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And you've teed me up nicely there, because I think Serrière is going to go past them at some point on this lap and take the win. There's my prediction. Now, even that little bit there is a technical downhill as well to stress the legs, as we can see.
Podívejte se, co Artur smazal. Vy už asi tušíte, jak to skončí.
So we're seeing the timing gaps popping up. Bonacina is hanging on well, but he's now 30 seconds behind Serrière. We'll wait to see what the gap back is to Max Chanet. We should have that populating soon after one lap on the run. This is very impressive running after how hard these two pushed on the bike as well, isn't it? Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen looks so light and tappy, nice and easy on this final run. I say easy, they're absolutely caning it. Oh, hello, Serrière is nearly on. He hasn't actually hooked up with them yet, though, has he?
He is. He's right on the heels of these two front athletes.
We've just seen Max Chanet's time pop up there, and he has slipped back on this final run. Michele Bonacina, the Italian athlete, is having a great one. It looks like he might be on for fourth place 2 days in a row. He was fourth in the full distance Europeans yesterday, and he's sitting quite comfortably in fourth place right now. But we now have three of the best athletes in the world, the three top-ranked men in the World Cup standings coming together. This just bodes so well as well for those World Championships as well. What a battle we're going to have in the Dolomites in a month's time. But here it is all coming to the boil for these elite men right at the end. They're going to go through that timing, Matt, and probably hear the bell together, I suspect. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen seems to want to lead this final run, and Felix Farissier is quite happy to sit there, but he will have looked over his shoulder right now and seen the world and European champion locked on with those two.
And I think Arthur Serriès is still looking quite relaxed. I think he's obviously played quite a smart race here. He didn't go with that pace on the bike and has saved himself for the run, knowing that he can run these two back down again.
Nicole, there is daylight cracking up between those two and Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen. I posed the question, watch the face of the Danish athlete in red with the black shorts there. Yes, there is now daylight between Farissier and him. The problem is we do know how well Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen runs on the downhill. Well, Serriès, we talk about his build through the season being perfectly timed, Nicole, but he does it in races too. He's got the confidence to hang back and wait and just measure everything out. He's now in the lead.
He has, and I'm really excited to run along that flat tarmac bit into the finish, because he is so fast when he gets his legs up to speed.
I think we're going to have a sprint finish here. This is looking very much like a sprint finish between our leading two and maybe three if Sloth-Nielsen can just roll, lean in and roll this descent. They see the daylight at the edge of the Cadiz forest. They'll be able to smell the, what shall we say, insects and giant crayfish that live within the waters of Ktishki Lake, because they are just about to come onto it. We are just about, what, about 200, 300 meters away from the finish here of this World Cup race here in the Czech Republic. And it is Arthur Serriès who has a sense to look over his shoulder. He sees Felix Farissier. Here comes third place after all that battling by Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, looking like he might be taking third. He's distance, and already it's Serriès who's winding it up. If it's going to be a sprint, it's going to be a wound-up one. It's like a 400-meter race right now. The face of Felix Farissier. They're going to go through transition together. Arthur Serriès trying to break him, but he hasn't done. Felix Farissier is right there, and I think he's going to come back on him. This could be a dip by the chest with a line on this one. Arthur Serriès are going to turn into transition. They run through transition to the line. Felix Farissier is hanging on for anything he's got left. The question is, what has he got left? He goes. Farissier goes. Serriès's not got it. And the World Cup leader's going to take the win. He turns for the line. What a race by Felix Farissier. Perfect timing. He wins. What a race between those two. Oh, my goodness me.
That was incredible.
Oh, brilliant racing. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen, we take our hat off to you once again. He's just had to do a bit too much. Third place for the Dane. Right up there with one of the best
what a race
finishes
between
of
these
the year.
three.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think they've earned that one. Those three. We'll be lucky if we can get them on the podium at all. Good luck to Doug Hall down there trying to interview these three, because he's going to have to peel them off the ground. Oh, complete contrast to the way they did it. Nicole, it was two different tactics there, wasn't it? Serriès trying to run Farissier off his wheel with the face of Felix Farissier. When he was doing that, I thought, oh no, he's gone. He's going to get dropped in a minute. But no, what a kick.
He just buried himself, didn't he, for those last few hundred meters.
Michele Bonacina comes in for fourth. What another great race by the Italian. Leading for so long and hangs on to fourth place 2 days in a row. In the full distance yesterday and in the sprint today. Well, we're very lucky, particularly with the elite men, to be living in such a an era of such close racing of these elites who are pushing each other on as well.
I mean, we've seen sprint finishes in the short track before, but I don't think anything quite that close.
No, and that's why we love the short track racing. I mean, I love it, Nicole. It is like espresso XTERRA, isn't it? It's everything purified all in one place, and pretty soon we're going to be hearing from them, but I think they might need to calm down a bit. Look at the face of Arthur Serriès. Look at Felix Farissier. Absolutely brilliant. Brilliant racing in Czechia, and fantastic victory for the World Cup leader who dominates. Another 75 points for him in the standings. and Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen, who was in second. We'll see now how close it is between Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen and Arthur Serrier. Don't forget, Serrier chose to sit out the opening round in Taiwan, started his season a month later. But look at that top three. I think we can see as well, Nicole, just how hot it is.
All smiles at the finish line.
That's Baptiste Fourdissel, the Frenchman, coming across the line. Close here as well. Scott Anderson, I think, in 6th place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a good race from Scott today. I think he finished 12th yesterday's race, so a good weekend for him.
Sébastien Carabin also just coming across the line there, the Belgian, in 8th place, if I'm not mistaken. He had a good race yesterday too. And 9th place there, going to Dominic Wachera. We will confirm all these for you on our screen in just a moment. 7th coming across the line for 10th as well, being one of 2 Germans in that top 10. That's 10th place taken. Right, now I'm not going to say anything here, but I think judging by the penalty we saw given out yesterday, that that might be happening again today. But it's hot, isn't it? It's cruel, isn't it? That was Martin Gelbhardt, the German, coming across the line. I think we can say that his top was unzipped. Thankfully, I think the race referees don't listen to our commentary, Nicole, but I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
We have talked about it already. Thankfully, Doug Hall has managed to peel people off the ground, and he's going to be grabbing a word, first of all, with Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen. I'm looking forward to hearing, well, just how well he feels he measured out the chase today. It was absolutely brutal. It's brutal for everyone, right the way through this field. And here he is with Doug Hall.
Jens-Emil, that was some of the most exciting racing we've ever seen. A great swim set you up to just take it to the entire race on the bike.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. It was nice. I think I just arrived 1 lap too late on the bike to make them hurt enough for the bike or for the run, and then they had 2 run laps, and that was one too much for me. So yeah, they were fast.
Yeah, and it was just a race with places changing all the time. Michele led, then Felix led, then you led, and then Arthur came back to the front. How do you cope mentally with these changes in position?
Well, I'm always coming from behind, so I don't know really what's going on. But yeah, it's always nice to hit the front, and when you're first, it gives you some wings to push on. But I knew on the run that it would be too much, and then when Arthur enters the game, then you know it's going to be a very fast run.
Well, it was certainly exciting to watch, and we love seeing you out there, Jens. Congratulations.
Cheers.
What an athlete. Always makes it so exciting. There's that little part, maybe it's the kind of coach in me, Nicole, that says, oh, just Jens-Emil Sloth-Nielsen, just work on the swim a little bit more. Come on, there's got to be something you can eke out there, just a little bit. But in a way, for the fans watching at home, it's nowhere near as much fun, is it? Because watching him come through like that, it adds so much to the race.
Yeah, and the athletes like having these battles as well. It makes it exciting for them. It pushes them on more.
Yeah, I guess all the.
I mean, it's always nice to win, but if you win easy every time.
Now there was nothing easy, I think, about that for anyone in this race, was there? Not least for our leaders. The face of Felix Farissier when he was having the screw turned on him by Arthur Serrier. Talking of whom, here he is.
Talk about leaving it till the last minute to try and win that race. So close. Tell me what you're thinking on that run when you close the gap to the front of the race.
I think it's not something about a run. During all the race, I just take to manage my pace, and the most challenging part for me was the bike because there are a lot of big jumps, and I made the choose to just take chicken line or beeline every time. So I just race a couple of meters away every time. So for me, that's just a less. I need more aggressivity to win race like that against this guy who just have knife on a mouth. So I just try to close, and at the end of the run, I just to try to push, because I know I'm someone who can run really fast during a long time, but I'm not a super good sprinter, but I'm quite okay. and I was just expecting for Felix get just drop of my feet, but it didn't. And that was funny because yesterday after the long race we said we never had some sprint finish or a really tight finish together, like really close to the line, and right now we have it. So 1 for Felix, 0 for me. To the next.
A case of careful what you wish for, I guess.
Yeah. We will have another battle maybe on the next short track at the Worlds, but maybe I think Felix and me will maybe just manage our efforts for the Worlds and long course.
It was certainly exciting, and we look forward to seeing you and Felix battle to the finish line again.
We certainly do. That was really interesting, Nicole, as well, because he said, I'm pleased to say, he backed up exactly what I suspected. He immediately said, no, it wasn't about the run. It was about the pace across the whole race and measuring that out. So thankfully, his take on it, indicating that we were right in what we were actually watching on our screen. Notably, he said he took, I hadn't noticed this, he said he took the chicken line, as we sometimes call it, or the B lines, at all those drops, just to be perfectly safe and measure everything out.
Yeah, and Arthur's usually all in for World Championships, and it's only a month away, so he wouldn't have wanted to take any risks today that would meant that he'd end up missing out on that event.
Yep, that is the next stop in the World Cup, of course, those World Championships in Italy. Next up, Doug Hall has grabbed a word with the winner, Felix Forissier. I suspect he's probably still panting quite hard. Here he is.
Some of the most exciting short track racing, and certainly one of the most exciting finishes we've ever seen. How did you manage to beat Arthur in that final sprint?
It was pretty difficult. On the last 200 meters, I say, you have to stay with him, you have to stay with him. If you stay with him, it can finish at the sprint. It's possible to win. Oh, it was so difficult. So I stay with him, and after I just put all I have. It was not really on the legs, but just in the mind.
So Arthur just told us it's like you race with a knife between your teeth, like Rambo. Does it feel like that? Are you ever thinking about later in the race, or you just go in the moment?
No, yes, it's exactly that. All the bike, I try to push hard to don't see Jens will come back. It was too difficult, and yes, it was exactly with the knife.
So, sum up your experience here, winning the XTERRA short track here in the Czech Republic. But if you could answer in French for your fans and family back home, that would be great.
Ouais, c'était vraiment une course très très difficile. J'ai essayé de bien nager, de pousser fort à vélo pour pas que Jens revienne trop vite. Et après, à pied, c'était très très dur. J'ai essayé de gérer un peu sur le premier tour dans les pieds de Jens. Et après, sur le finish à l'extérieur, j'étais complètement mort. Mais bon, dans les 200 derniers mètres, j'ai essayé de rester avec lui pour que ça se finisse au sprint. Et c'est ce qui s'est passé. J'ai réussi à passer dans les derniers mètres. C'était vraiment dur, mais vraiment incroyable. Et c'était une super course.
Well, congratulations again, Felix.
A little bit of translation. In the end, he was saying on that final lap, he said, completely dead. But he had a little bit left, didn't he? And there is the result. Felix Forissier, 2 Frenchmen on top, he and Arthur Serrier, with one of the best finishes in XTERRA history, in actual fact. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen in 3rd, Michele Bonacina hanging on for 4th, Max Chanet still there in 5th, but 1:36 down. Then a big gap back to Baptiste Foudorcel, another Frenchman. Look at those 4 Frenchmen in that top 6. Scotty Anderson, the German in 7th, Sebastian Carabin, the Belgian in 8th, Dominic Wichera, the Austrian in 9th, and Sebnev, second of the Germans, in 10th place, 3 minutes and 21 down. And that's actually quite a big gap in short track racing. Nicole, that was brilliant, wasn't it? We're going to see our podium now, but what an outing for short track for these elite men. I mean, the women's race was good, but that was so close, wasn't it?
It was, and Felix just left absolutely everything out there, didn't he?
Yep. So we're about to bring you our podium presentation. They've swapped the order out a little bit of the World Cup standings, so points-wise things will shuffle a little bit. Felix Forissier went in after yesterday's European Championship previous round of the World Cup yesterday, here, of course, in Czechia. in the lead, and it was Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen in second on 642 points, with Arthur Serrier in third. Serrier, as he does in the races, so with the season too, just gradually working his way through them, finishing second today, and Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen in third. There he is. He takes the first step, the third place on the podium here in Prahatisa, Czechia, on the banks of the Ktyšský Lake. World champion, newly crowned European champion, and rounding in on hopefully making sure he doesn't have to get a new tri-suit made up and remove those rainbow bands from it, because he is the world champion and he has about a month to get himself in tip-top shape. He's already there. Wrap yourself up in cotton wool, Arthur Serrier, but you're going to have this man to beat. French continue to dominate in men's elite XTERRA, and Felix Farissier continuing to prove that this season he is the best of them. But it's so close between him and Serrier.
And of course, Felix heads into the final round in Malvino as our World Cup series leader.
Yep, absolutely. There we go. 18 seconds in the end, the gap back to Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen. Great battle between those three on that final run, that brutal run up into the forest. So much so that Arthur Serrier is having to try and help Felix Farissier down from the podium. I love that, Nicole.
The sign of a
really
tough
enjoyed
weekend of
sharing
racing,
the men's.
isn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Two quite different races as well in the way they played out, but what a beautiful location. I want to be there on the ground next year, definitely in Czechia. It looks stunning.
It's a really beautiful place.
There's the World Cup this year, rounded out, as we say, with the final round, those World Championships in Trentino, Italy, in the Dolomites. Nicole Walters and I will be there on the ground in Italy to sample the run-up to both the short track race and then the full distance race as well. So if you're coming along, come and say hi to us. We'll be at or around the finish line somewhere, catching some sun rays maybe as well in Italy, hopefully, in the end of September. And if you can't be there, do not forget you're already in the place to watch it here on our YouTube channel. Completely free, of course, to watch the very highest level of XTERRA racing in the world. And if this is the first round you've watched today, don't forget on the XTERRA YouTube channel, you can go back and watch all of those World Cup rounds back, either in their highlights form or in their entirety, why not? And there are the World Cup standings as well after that. Felix Farissier, Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen and Arthur Serrier maintain their positions as they had done going into this, but Max Chanet's moved up one place there with his fine finish today. Arthur Farissier continuing to move down because he is injured, so didn't score any points today, but we know how well he started the year. I don't know an update on his injury, Nicole. I don't know if you've heard anything, but I'm so fingers crossed that he might be able to come back for the World Championships, although I haven't heard.
I think it's quite a serious injury, but almost the best of a worse situation. I'm not sure he'll be back in time for World Championships, which is such a shame because he missed out last year as well. Yeah. But fingers crossed for a speedy recovery for Arthur.
Yeah,
for Arthur Farissier.
Yeah, fingers crossed for him. Get well soon, Arthur, as well. I'm sure you're watching. And we are just about to bring you highlights as well of the fantastic men's race you've just watched. Don't forget, if you are watching this men's race and didn't see the women's race, go back and watch it as well on the YouTube channel. And don't forget as well, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will get all the little snippets that happen month by month. The XTERRA team bringing you interviews, insights, coaching analysis, and the rest from all of these top athletes that you can follow all season long. And don't forget, if you want to find links to all of them, they're all at xterraplanet.com. So that brilliant opening swim from, well, for a long time, race leader, of course, Michele Bonacina, but it was Jan Trzaszowski, the Polish athlete, who did actually lead out of the water Bonacina with a great bike leg as well, as Nicole said, looking utterly focused and concentrated, the Italian. And there was the first of those step downs as well. Felix Farissier catching, he being the first one to catch the race leader Bonacina, the Italian. And then this is much deeper into the race. The wait for Artur Serrier to catch up with these two. Jens Emil Sloth-Nielsen didn't wait. He kept pressing the pace on that final run, hopefully looking to draw the sting of these two. But look at this final sprint. Felix Farissier.
And look how far out it started as well.
It really did, didn't it? Watching it back in slow-mo, Nicole, I thought he'd come round him later than that, but he did go pretty early. That's proper measuring out of what have you got left, and I don't think really either of them had anything left. It was just willpower to keep them one body in front of another. Fantastic finale.